Welcome in, everybody, to the Bare Knuckle Recovery Podcast, episode 6. I am Tommy Streeter, here with Zach Dawson, who's filling in for Nate today while he's on vacation. Nate went to Chicago to watch the Bears give away the game to the Packers, so I'm sure he's having a good time up there. We got Zach filling in today, and like we spoke about last week, we have a very special guest today. We're here with Jennifer Hope, the co-founder of The Mom of an Addict. Right? One of the co-founders.
Yeah.
So basically, we just wanted to bring Jen on today and give her opportunity to talk a little bit about her organization, what they do, why they got started. So we'll just get right into it. So Jen, if you could just tell us a little bit about what kind of got you interested, what made you want to start The Mom of an Addict, and then just tell us a little bit about exactly what you guys do.
Sure. It's personal experience. First I grew up and my dad battled alcohol from the time he was probably 16 until he died at 54. So that was kind of my perspective. But then when my son, my oldest child, was 16, he tried alcohol, and what followed was a very rapid decline. The disease grabbed him very quickly, and 7 years of active drug and alcohol use followed. And I remember not understanding.
I'm gonna jump in a lot and ask you questions and interrupt you. I hope that's okay.
Yep.
Was it like almost immediately that you started seeing some similarities and that kind of reminded you of what you saw from, when you were younger, what you saw your dad going through before, and then saw your son going through it? How long did that take before you kind of saw some of those similarities?
A couple years.
And when you actually figured it out, was it very progressive in his addiction?
Yes. It had been pretty dark for a while. And I'd started doing some research, and it light bulb went off one day where I put the pieces together, the dots connect. It's like, oh, okay, we're dealing with a genetic disease here, because not only did my father struggle with alcohol, so did his father.
Okay.
And I only met him one time. My grandma got a divorce when my dad was young, and we met him one time, and he also died maybe late 50s, so at a young age as well. And, that light bulb went off.
Yeah.
It's like I realized, I guess as a kid, I thought my dad was choosing, alcohol over us, and I didn't understand. And my son, Jake, would tell me, he didn't want to live like that, and he didn't want to keep doing those things, but he would go back to it. So I guess, I don't know that my mom brain could process that similarity at the time.
That's really hard for everyone to understand, because when he's telling you that he doesn't want to keep doing this and he doesn't want to live that way, like, he meant it. He wasn't just saying that to get you off his back. Like, he 100% meant that. You hook him up to a lie detector test, he's going to pass it because he really means that. But yeah, when you're somebody that struggles with substance use disorder or alcoholism or addiction or whatever you want to call it, like, every time I said it, I knew that I meant it. And every time I said that, like, after I would overdose and I'm never going to get high again, I certainly meant it. But then you get that one thought that creeps into your head, and you just don't have the coping skills or the ability to shut it off.
Yeah, and for me as an addict, like, I don't think I even ever understood it. Like, saying I didn't want to do this anymore, but
like, why am I still doing this?
But continuously going back to it, like, that just, I never understood that. But it wasn't until I got into recovery to where I could actually slow down and start processing things of why I kept going back to it or doing what I was doing.
Yeah, we have to get out of the forest a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was hard. I don't remember where we were. So where do we want to go now?
So from the time that he started drinking, like, how old did you say?
16.
Like 16. And so how long was it before he was able to make some progress and get out? I know he's been to treatment before, but and he's sober now. He's been sober now for how long?
A little over 5.5 years. So today is a good day.
Okay, so that's awesome. But from the time he was 16 until he got sober, how long was that?
He was 23, nearly 24, when he sought treatment on his own.
So almost 8 years then.
Yes.
And was that the first time that he went to treatment?
No.
Okay. So there was a long period of time in there where he was trying to get help and just kind of kept going back to it. So for you as his mom, what was it like to just have to witness that? And how long did it, I guess, take you to realize there's not really anything you can do other than, set boundaries and figure out what the difference is between enabling him and supporting him? Like, what was it like for you?
So to answer your first question, it was horrific to see this little baby that, sometimes you still see as your little baby become someone that you don't recognize.
Yeah.
I don't wish that on anyone. And it took me years to start understanding that I had behavior I needed to change, that I could only control myself as much as I thought if I loved him enough, told him how talented he was, gave him opportunities. For a few years, I thought that's what would fix it.
Yeah.
I thought, somehow as his mom, I can fix this. But then I also had the approach of, I'm your mom and I know what you need to do and I need to tell you what you need to do. And I got pretty good at that, not understanding that I was unknowingly sending him the message that I didn't think he could do it, that he needed mom to handle it for him. And, my husband and I have discussions about that, not trying to get into the male-female thing here, but, a young man needs to learn how to be a man.
Yeah.
And not have mom or dad or someone else running ahead of them or running behind and picking up the pieces.
Yeah. Well, and I know, like for my mom and dad, my dad was done putting up with my crap way before my mom was. My mom, and my mom very well.
I love your
obviously,
mom.
But she held on for so much longer until she finally started to realize how much all the love and support that she was trying to give me was actually enabling me by letting me stay at their house, giving me $20 for gas or food or whatever it was. I mean, it took her a very long time before she realized, okay, this is not hell. Like, I'm hurting him way more than I'm helping him. Even by giving him a roof over his head, it made it just that much easier for me to continue doing what I was doing. So, I mean, looking back on it now, do you feel like you did enable him a lot for a while, for a long time?
Oh, I have a crown that I wear. When we talk about enabling, I bring out my little crown. It's like you have one little doll on one shoulder telling you, this is your child, provide for them.
Save them.
They're cold. Give them a place to sleep. They're hungry. And then I think we all get to a place at different times where the other little doll slowly starts to appear, where we start maybe having an idea that, oh, well, if they have a warm place to sleep, if they have food, if somebody's buying their cigarettes, if somebody's giving them gas money, well, why would they want to do anything differently?
Yeah, they don't have a reason to change.
So as a parent, it was like a battle.
Yeah.
It's like, which doll am I going to listen to? And it tears your heart apart. Or, like your head tells you one thing logically and your heart tells you something different.
Yeah. And I know, like, even for me now and Zach and Nate and everyone on our team, we work with families a lot. And I don't have any children. Zach has like 12.
I have 3.
Nate doesn't have any kids either. So it's hard for me to, say that I can relate to what it feels like to have to go through that with your child. But I just kind of try to put myself in my mom's shoes. But that's one of the hardest things of my job, is telling a parent, and especially a mom. Obviously I'm a mama's boy and I have a soft spot there, but it's really hard for me to tell a mom, in order to save your child's life, you have to set these firm boundaries and stick to them. Because what my mom said was that she realized that she was loving me to death. And I know she still says that all the time, and I hear a lot of people say that now, but that's one of the hardest things for me to do, is tell parents that that's what they have to do. And so I imagine with what you do, do you think it's easier for you since you are also a parent and you can really relate to them on that level where I can't?
Well, I've been there, but I maybe take a different approach where I'll explain what a boundary is, but I'll say, I'm not here to tell you what your boundaries should be. My boundaries changed. Your boundaries might change. You just have to make the best decision you can live with today.
Yeah.
But you, Zach, knowing firsthand that having I don't know if maybe I haven't heard your story yet, but having someone provide those things, firsthand that enabled you.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
And that prolonged things. So I feel like you have a different perspective where you can directly say those things.
And, I actually had a conversation with a mother not too long ago, and I told her straight up, like, if you were my parent, I would have you right where I wanted you. I can still continue to go to treatment. And then once I'm done, you're going to be there to hold my hand. You're going to pay my bills. You're going to give me a place to stay. You're going to feed me, everything like that. Why would I ever want to change if I can continue to do the same exact things, but not have any consequences? The only consequence I get is to go to treatment for 30 days and then come right back out and do the same thing just to get you guys off my back. I mean, it was the same process, but I feel like for me, my family for the longest time was in denial that I was in or out using drugs or whatever the case may be. Did you ever have a point in that stage of your son's life where you were in denial? Like, no, he's not doing this, or it's not that bad, or anything like that?
Yes. I mean, people will tell you, oh, it's a phase. They'll outgrow it. And until you really understand the genetic component in the disease, that denial is very easy to participate in. So I get it. And, as a mom, I'm listening to you say, well, I would go to treatment, then they'd let me come home and they'd do this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We want to support your recovery. You went to treatment. Right. Let's help you out. So I get that.
Right.
I get it.
That's another thing that we definitely deal with all the time when talking to parents. Another thing I tell them also is it has to be tough because you absolutely want to believe that your child is doing, everything the right way. You want to believe that they're doing well. You want to believe that they're healthy. And we're also all master manipulators, and we can get, especially our parents, to believe almost anything that we want them to because they want to believe us so bad. And so it makes it honestly pretty easy to do. At least it was for me with my mom. My dad, not so much, because like I said, he was done way before my mom was.
That's normal.
Yeah, same with me.
Yeah. But
and the part of it, like towards the end of my addiction, when my family actually did cut me off, I remember my dad looking me in the eye and he said, we can't continue to watch you kill yourself anymore. We won't do it. So at that time, he disassociated me from the family. He said, you can't talk to my wife anymore, which is my mother. But, at that time, that's what he was doing. He was just pushing me apart from everything.
I've never met your dad, but I love him.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is my dad's in recovery.
That's why
he's got 30 years of sobriety from over 30 years from alcohol. So that was really tough for my family as well, because my mom wanted to treat me exactly like she did with my dad, but I wasn't my dad and I wasn't drinking. I was using heroin, which was a lot more dangerous at the time because I had overdosed multiple times and everything like that. So,
well, it's a different relationship.
Yeah.
You're her child.
Yeah. And I'm the baby too.
Oh, well, so, yeah, another little dynamic there.
Yeah. So we see that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, let's get back to while Jake was in active addiction. Mm-hmm. Did you have anyone to talk to reach out to? Like, was it family that you reached out, or did you try to keep it all between you and your husband and Jake and not let anybody know what was going on and not really reach out to anybody, or maybe like who'd you have to talk to?
Yeah, you don't want to tell anybody. You see everyone posting about their children and the scholarships and the awards. And, there were days I was just hoping he was still alive.
Yeah.
You don't want to tell anybody. You don't want someone to think your child is bad.
Yeah.
You don't want people to think you're bad parents. And then if you have other children, you don't want them to be ostracized.
So that was my next question. what did that do? Because I know, I have an older brother. Zach has other siblings as well. And I know from my brother's perspective, he was doing everything right. He's had the same job since the day he turned 16. He got married. He's got 4 kids. Like, he had a house, and he was doing everything right. And he wasn't getting any of the attention from my family because all of their attention was focused on me because I was the one that was, killing myself. So it definitely caused issues between my brother and I. It damaged our relationship as well. It damaged my parents' relationship because they both had different views on it. And I imagine you went through similar things like that as well.
Yes. My husband was also done much sooner. And our children are younger than Jake. So I felt like we were running interference, trying to shield them from what was going on.
Yeah.
And, I try not to carry, but I deal with a lot of mom guilt for so much time and energy being directed one way.
Yeah.
I did my best to still bake the cookies and take the other kids to their activities and be there. But there were days it was just a struggle to make it through the day.
Yeah. And I assume you just didn't know what to do. It got to the point where you just had no idea what to do. Didn't know who to talk to, who to reach out to, nothing.
No, I would just pray. If a note would just drop from the sky telling me what to do, I would do it.
Yeah.
And
didn't happen?
No.
Were your other kids an active part in, when he actually was trying to get into recovery or anything like that? I mean, did you guys keep them away from him or anything?
Well, we had to tell him multiple times he could not be at our house. But they're 6 and 10 years younger than he is. So when his addiction started at 16, his little sister was 6.
Yeah, they didn't even probably know what was going on. Maybe a little bit, but
I think they did. If I could go back, I would handle things a lot differently, as we all would.
Right.
Yeah.
We probably would have had more conversations as a family. I would have, asked my other kids how they were doing.
Yeah.
For a long time, I was just trying to survive. And I thought we were doing a good job shielding them and protecting them, and that they didn't know what was going on and they weren't affected. But unfortunately, that is not true.
Yeah.
So you do believe your other children were affected by his addiction?
Absolutely.
I mean, it affects the whole family.
Yeah.
It's a family disease. And same thing when it comes to recovery. Like it's, the whole family has things that they have to heal from as well. And that's one of the things that makes it so tough, because if I go get better and then I come back home into the same environment and nothing has really changed there, not that it's my parents' responsibility, but if you have a family dynamic like that, where I'm living at home with my mom and dad for so long and they've done a lot of enabling and, I've just damaged our relationship so much. Like they've gone through a lot of trauma that they have to heal through as well. Especially my parents finding me overdosed on the floor and like all that stuff. They had a lot of stuff that they needed to heal from as well. They needed to learn how to set boundaries. So it really does take the whole family. If you have a close family dynamic like that, in order for the whole family to really heal. At least that's my opinion, at least.
And the point that I'm trying to drive home is people who are in active addiction think they're only harming themselves.
Yeah.
They don't realize that their whole family, their brothers, their sisters, their aunts, their uncles, their mothers, their fathers are all being affected by this.
And, as a mom, family members, spouses, siblings, whoever it might be, friends, we pick up a lot of unhealthy habits ourselves trying to save someone else. It doesn't work. It's never going to work. And I adopted some unhealthy communication. I stopped taking care of myself. I mean, I could make my whole laundry list of habits that I've had to work on.
One of the things that you just said is huge. You stopped taking care of yourself. I think that's what a lot happens to, especially moms. That's what happens a lot of the time, because so much of their time and energy is focused on their child, or even, if it's their husband or whoever, it's focused because, the mom is there to, wants to take care of everybody and be there for everybody. And with my mom, her physical and mental health and her emotional health definitely took a backseat to me, because she was so worried about me all the time. I probably aged my mom 30 years, a few years down. She's going to hear this and that I said that, but
we love you, Jenny.
Yes, we do. But it's true. And that's one of the things, like I was saying, that you kind of have to relearn, while your child is getting better, you have to also. Mm-hmm. So, all right, we're going to fast forward a little bit now we're going to back up and fast forward at the same time. About 4 years ago when we met.
Yeah.
So we both took classes to become a certified recovery coach. And I walked into this, was it at a hotel in Warsaw?
It was.
One of the hotels in Warsaw. And I was living in Indy at the time. I think
in a meeting room.
Yeah. In a boardroom at a hotel, not a hotel room.
Let's just get that out there.
Good call. So I'm like 7 months sober at the time, and it was the opportunity to take these classes to become a recovery coach was offered to me. So I did it. And my mom, wanting to make sure that I was actually doing it and going to take these classes, she signed up for them also. Normally, probably not something that she would have done, but obviously there was a reason other than me being there that she did. Something told her to do it. And that's where we met.
That is where we met.
So
and Nate was there too for a day, if you remember.
Yep. Nate and Mickey were both there.
Yes.
And then Mickey got sick and Nate got sick.
Nate was sick. And he sat beside me and I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Still love you, Nate, but I remember that.
Yeah. So, No, you're good. I actually forgot about that. That was where I met Nate for the first time too. But anyways, so you met my mom there and you guys kind of started talking and realized that you had a lot in common. And I think you had already had the idea to start a group like this, right? And so you started talking to my mom about it and just kind of explain how that went and what it turned into.
If you've not lived with this, you don't get it. So when I met your mom, I knew she got me. Even without having to talk a lot, I just knew she understood where I'd been, what I'd seen, how I felt. So, a friendship just kind of formed.
Probably helped that you had the same name too.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. And we're only a couple months apart, age-wise. Through the whole thing, I have friends. And, your mom has friends. But unless you have friends who've walked the path, and I'm glad my friends didn't understand. But,
yeah, absolutely.
But finding people who get you, that you can connect with in a way that you've not connected with other people is healing, and it's powerful. So there was just, we were all in that room for a reason.
You talk a lot about your friends and everything like that. Did your friends understand?
They tried. They loved me.
Right.
Definitely loved me. And I'm grateful that they didn't have the experience to understand really what I was dealing with. They tried, but it's
not that connection.
Yeah. That there's, we connect with people on the deepest level through shared pain.
Correct.
Yeah, for sure. So when you first started talking to my mom, did you kind of present to her the idea that you had to start this group and kind of explain to her what it was and what you wanted to do?
It was stirring at that point. I'd started working at a mental health center. I enrolled in, I was going to go back to school and get a master's in counseling. I thought I had all these steps had to, take place first. And people just kind of started being put in my path after I met your mom. And had some conversations where people asked me some questions that really got me thinking. And, the speeding up of meeting the people, happened. And I just decided after someone asked me a hard question that it was just time that I could go to school. But then that's just going to be a couple years where people are just waiting, feeling alone and scared like your mom and I and so many others had for a long time. And someone said to me, why are you going to school? Well, I need these letters behind my name. And she said, I think you have all the experience that anyone you want to help cares about. And that was a light bulb moment. And then there was another moment where I had a realization that we get to do this life one time. And I know I'm not here to push my feelings on anyone, but I believe that a good part of why we're here is to love and serve other people. And I get one shot. And I need to do it today. I don't need to wait. We're qualified to love and serve people.
Yeah.
We don't need letters behind our name.
So what'd you do?
I called Bob Goff. He's an author. And I knew he had changed careers and started a nonprofit, and I didn't know what to do. And he puts his phone number in the back of a book, in the back of his books. Well, I'd read his second book before I read his first book, and I didn't know the little information piece that he was an attorney and taught nonprofit law at Pepperdine. If you're listening, Bob, hello. So I just called him and I said, hey, this is what I wanted to do. I thought maybe you could give me some guidance. And he said, well, you can hire an attorney and pay him $5,000, or you can get online and order this book. And he told me the name of the book. And if you don't have everything done by Tuesday, there's a problem. Okay. So I ordered the book. I, got your mom and other people together, and the board formed, and we just started meeting around the dining room table and having discussions about what this should look like.
So the first meeting that you had, like the first actual meeting that you had, was that one at the chapel?
Yes, in June of 2019.
Okay, June of 2019, the first ever Mom of an Addict meeting.
Yes.
How many people were at that meeting?
Well, we would have been happy if there were maybe 3. So we had a room, well, maybe...
This is my favorite part of the story.
A little bigger than this little area where we're sitting reserved. And people started coming in. And your mom and a couple of, we just were looking at each other. And
we got like 12 chairs in here.
Yeah.
There's 70 people outside.
There were nearly 70 people.
Wow.
We were finding chairs in closets and dragging chairs from across the hall in the gym. And we were smashed in there as tightly as we could be. And we had the doors open and chairs, flowing out into the hallway.
And how did that first meeting look?
It was overwhelming on many levels. But it really affirmed to us,
this is what we need to be doing.
This is what we need to be doing. People are feeling like we feel, and they don't have to feel alone anymore.
And can you explain a little bit more about what your meetings are all about?
Sure. We provide education and support to families and friends who have been touched or affected by a loved one's substance use. And we're not here to take the place of other support groups. We're here to provide another option. We want people to be connected somewhere. So we have a 20-lesson curriculum that's based on DBT principles, if you like technical things. So we have lessons. We also invite guest speakers to come in and share their recovery stories, which we appreciate very much. Thank you. And then we have a time for sharing where, that part we've talked about where you're with other people who get it. So you can come and say anything and nobody's going to look at you funny. We're probably going to, shake our head and raise our hand because we've been there.
Been there. So you started with the one meeting in Fort Wayne on Tuesday nights at the chapel.
Correct.
Every Tuesday. And now, so that was, you said, a little over 3 years ago. And how many meetings do you have now?
We have 3 in-person meetings in Fort Wayne.
Every week?
Yes, every week. 1 in Warsaw every week. 1 in North Manchester every week. And a Zoom every week.
Were you expecting it to grow that much when you started it?
No. And I still don't try to think ahead. I just know there are people all over, as your mom has found out with the Zoom, feeling alone and scared. And I try not to think about what the future brings. I just don't want people to feel like they're alone.
Yeah. So now that's 7 meetings every week that you do? 3 in Fort Wayne.
5 in person and 1 online so far. We have some other things in the works.
Okay. And so you said education and support, and I just want you to talk a little bit about the education. Like what does that curriculum look like? What kind of things do you talk about?
We talk about the science of education, what's going on in the brain, so that maybe people aren't feeling lost like I did for so long. They can make that connection. We talk about, boundaries, that enabling word. Communication, I had bad communication skills. I can't say they're stellar now, but I work on them. We talk about the types of drugs so that people are aware of what's out there and, what does a detox from something look like and what are the street names. We try to keep information out there about the drugs. We talk about the stages of change, the stages of recovery. We talk about the stages of a relapse. We talk about stigma, how men and women process things differently. We talk about dealing with loss because in this life we will deal with loss.
Yeah.
So we have a lesson on how we can deal with loss personally, but then how we can help someone else process loss. Family roles. There's just a whole.
And you guys give out resources as well, other than just, for the moms and family members that come to it, right?
Yeah, we try to maintain a list and let people know of what's out there, and we encourage them to do research and then make the choice that's best for them.
And you guys give out Narcan as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
And fentanyl test strips.
It's amazing.
So the name, The Mom of an Addict, how'd
Sure.
you land on that one?
A friend of mine who was very well-meaning, she said to me, she did not know me when Jake was in active addiction. So about a little over a year before our meetings actually started, she said to me twice in 1 week, Jen Hope, you don't look like the mom of an addict. And after the second time, she meant well.
Yeah.
But I just kind of sat with that. I'm like, what's the mom of an addict look like?
What does that look like?
Yeah.
What does someone who struggles with drugs or alcohol or gambling or shoplifting or pornography, what do they look like? Me.
Yeah.
Your neighbor, the person who works with you. There's no discrimination. So that's how we have our name. We're not just moms, we're all family members and friends, but it's just to kind of signify that we're all capable of being affected by this.
So you sent me a picture of the 4 founding moms, right?
The founding mothers,
Okay.
yes.
So we have that picture and we'll pop it up on the screen, maybe right now, maybe at some point, I don't know. But anyways, that picture will pop up at some point.
Great.
Who is in that picture?
Those are the people who were kind of put in my path, who expressed interest. So there's your mom in the photo. There is another mom named Julia, who was introduced to us. My husband and I had coffee with her and her husband. And, my husband talks about how he recognized immediately the look in the mom's eyes and the different look in the dad's eyes.
Yeah.
And then Donna Ray, who 2 months after losing her daughter Emily is when I met her, and she was ready to help others. So that's the 4 of us.
So you've got moms who have children that were in active addiction, in recovery, some who have passed away. There's really, so anyone, if you're a family member, not just a mom, like Jen said, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandparent, brother, sister, child, whoever, if you go to one of these meetings, you're going to find at least one person there who has literally been, exactly where you are, going through what you're going through, been through what you went through previously. So it's really, everyone that I talk to, I always recommend that they check it, because like we said before, the family has a lot of things that they need to work on their recovery as well. This meeting is always one that I suggest everyone attends if they've got a loved one that's struggling. If they can't get to one in person, they have the virtual meeting. But for anyone who's watching right now, if they want to either get in touch with you or one of the other moms or see where your meetings are, what time they are, how can they do that?
They can go online. We have a meeting locator,
Okay.
themomofanaddict.org. You can follow us on Facebook, The Mom of an Addict, Instagram. We post each week our meeting locations and what our topics are.
Okay. So Facebook.
And the link to the Zoom is on there too.
Yep. Facebook has they have little thumbnail pictures that you put up there with the date, the location, the time, and then the topic, what you're going to be talking about that week, the Zoom link.
Password.
Yep. And the password for the Zoom link. So again, if anybody watching this is interested in attending one of those meetings in person or the virtual meeting, You can check them out on Facebook at The Mom of an Addict. You can check out the website at themomofanaddict.org. You also have an Instagram. If you have Instagram but not a Facebook, you post all that stuff on Instagram as well. And you have a TikTok where you make hilarious videos, right?
Not yet.
Oh.
I'm waiting for you to show me how to do that.
Maybe someday. So anything else, Zach? Any other questions?
I don't think so.
Anything else you would like to add?
Our meetings are free. There's no membership required. You don't have to.
Probably a good thing to add.
Tell us you're coming. You can just show up.
Okay. Well, I hope some people do who are watching this. I know that there's definitely people watching this who need to go to your meeting. So hopefully seeing you on here now will encourage them to do that if they haven't already.
I hope so. And if you're listening, we're here for you. You're not alone.
Well, obviously I love how much your meeting has grown, and I've seen how many people have benefited from going to your meeting. So I appreciate everything that you and everybody else on the board has done. We've talked to a lot of family members who tell us that they love going to the meetings and how much they've helped. So thank you for that. Yeah. We certainly appreciate you.
We appreciate all you do, and you all your ears probably ring a lot because your names get brought up a lot because you've helped a lot of people who have parents at our meetings too. So thank you.
We're happy to. We're just grateful to be in a position that we're able to do it.
So. We just work together.
And one thing I did want to mention is Recovery Rocks. For everybody that doesn't know, Mom of an Addict holds this big event, and it's called Recovery Rocks, and it's just one of the biggest recovery events in the state of Indiana, and it's just absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's a good day.
Yeah,
it's a good day.
We'll be doing that again next year, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know.
It's a recovery staple here in Indiana now.
Yes, absolutely. Especially here in Fort Wayne, and people come from all over the state.
They really did.
If you follow them on Facebook, you'll see when that will be next year.
Yeah, and it has so many resources. I mean, every resource that's around Indiana was there. So
bring it all together, because when you need it, a lot of times you don't even know where to start looking.
Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Jen. We appreciate your time coming today. Sorry that you had to deal with Zach instead of Nate, but
it is what it is.
It's all good.
Thank you guys all so much for following us, for listening, watching, and sharing our videos, liking our page. As always, if anybody ever needs anything, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, email, phone numbers on there. So if anyone needs anything, look us up on there, bareknucklerecovery.com as well. Thank you again, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you.